Kendall walked at a solid 8.6% rate, but struck out just 7.6% of the time. Among Pirates players since 1950 with at least 2,500 plate appearances, Kendall has the 7th lowest strikeout rate. Kendall also had a skill set not many catchers have in general. He was a really solid base runner. With the Pirates, he stole 140 bases in 205 attempts. From 1997 to 2002, his lowest stolen base total was 13, and swiped at least 20 bags in 3 straight years from 1998 to 2000. All told, he had a plus 1.2 base running runs above average. Kendall is also second among Pirate catcher WOBA at 358, and first in F4 at 31.2. Argument can be made that Kendall is the best all-around catcher in Pirate history. Our next guy is first baseman L.B. Fletcher. L.B. Fletcher was the Pittsburgh Pirates first baseman during the 1940s. Fletcher's best years were between 1940 to 1943. In these 4 years, Fletcher hit for a .283 average, a .413 on base, and a .420 slugging, with a .136 OPS plus and .140 WRC plus. While he wasn't any sort of power hitter with just a .137 isolated slugging percentage and 43 home runs across 4 seasons, Fletcher did lead the league in on-base percentage 3 of those 4 years. He and Stan Musial had almost identical on-base percentages, with Musial sitting at .415 and Fletcher at .413. Fletcher likely would have continued to be an on-base threat after 1943, but had to serve in the United States Navy in 1945 and 1946 at the tail end of World War II. Fletcher did return in 1947 to hit for a solid .256 average, .384 on base, .355 slugging, and .108 OPS plus, .112 WRC plus in 651 plate appearances, showing he still had outstanding plate discipline. While Fletcher only played 69 games in 1948, he returned for one final season in 1949, and again, hit quite well, putting up a .262 average, .396 on base, .402 slugging, and a .119 OPS plus and .124 WRC plus through 518 plate appearances. All told, Fletcher batted for a .279 average, .403 on base, .412 slugging with 60 home runs and a .132 WRC plus through his 3,821 plate appearance tenure as a Pittsburgh Pirate. His WRC plus leads all Pirates first basemen with at least 500 games played with the Pirates. Among Pirates with at least 2,500 plate appearances with the team, his OBP ranks 7th all-time, just ahead of Honus Wagner at 394, and just behind Ralph Kiner at 405. Our next guy is second baseman Neil Walker. Neil Walker was a consistently good batter for the Pittsburgh Pirates during the first half of the 2010 decade. He leads in many offensive categories and doesn't get much credit for it. Although he was a rookie and wouldn't receive regular playing time until 2010, he did make his debut in 2009. Throughout his Pirates tenure, Walker batted for a .273 average, .338 on base, .431 slugging, 93 home runs, and a .113 WRC plus, .114 WRC plus. From 2010 to 2015, Walker had hit for a .273 average, .338 on base, and a .433 slugging. His .115 WRC plus in the first half of the 2010s was the 4th highest in baseball. Only Robinson Cano, Ben Zobrist, and Dustin Pedroia, 3 very notable names, ranked higher than him. He also ranked 4th behind the aforementioned trio in OPS and 6th in WOBA at 337. Among Pirates' pure second basemen, Walker has the best WRC plus in at least 2,500 plate appearances. Technically, George Grantham passes him, but Grantham also played a decent amount of first base with the Pirates. Walker's 336 WOBA is only passed by Claude Ritchie and Dots Miller. But like with Grantham, Miller played a lot of games at first base. Only Bill Mazeroski passes Walker in home runs at 138, but Walker's 93 is still more impressive considering that Maz played more than double the amount of time with the Pittsburgh Pirates than Walker did. Walker also leads all Pirates in OPS. Walker is the only Pirates second baseman in history to win a Silver Slugger. Walker might be one of the most underrated batters in Pirates history, considering that he was consistently a good batter throughout his career and doesn't get much recognition for it. Our next guy is third baseman Richie Hebner. From 1969 to 1976, Richie Hebner served as the team's hot corner defender, and he did quite well in the batter's box. Hebner got off to a great start to his career. Through his first 3,147 plate appearances at the MLB level, Hebner was batting for a .287 average, a .360 on base, and a .466 slugging, with a .131 OPS plus and .122 WRC plus. He was a key member of the Pirates Lumber Company of the 1970s. While it took a few years for his power to come around, it eventually did. From 1971 to 1976, Hebner had a .478 slugging percentage and hit 79 home runs. Hebner was a top 10 third baseman for the first half of the decade. From 1969 to 1976, Hebner's WRC plus tied him with Mike Schmidt and Darrell Evans, while sitting just behind Joe Torre at 132. Hebner did fall off the last 2 years with the Pittsburgh Pirates and returned to the team in 1983 and 1984, but wasn't quite the same batter in any of those years. But he still has a career .277 average, .350 on base, and a .442 slugging, .122 OPS plus, as well as the same .122 WRC plus. If you don't consider Bobby Bonilla a third baseman, then Richie Hebner leads all Pirate third basemen in WRC plus, fourth in WOBA at .355, and third in OPS. Our next guy is shortstop Honus Wagner. Honus Wagner is not just the best shortstop in the history of the Pittsburgh Pirates, but he's probably their greatest player of all time. There's also a strong argument to be made that Wagner is the best shortstop in baseball history. Wagner spent 18 years of his 21-year career with the Pittsburgh Pirates. In those 18 years, Wagner hit for a .328 average, a .391 on base, and a .467 slugging, with a .151 OPS plus and an identical .151 WRC plus. Wagner won 8 batting titles with the Pirates, including 4 straight from 1906 to 1909. In those 4 seasons, where Wagner led the league in batting average, he was hitting for a .346 average, a .415 on base, and a .502 slugging, with a .185 OPS plus and .178 WRC plus. The equivalent of a .178 WRC plus today would be somewhere between 2019 Christian Yelich and 2019 Mike Trout. While nobody was hitting home runs back in these days, Wagner still finished with a slugging percentage above .500 8 different times, mainly because he was a doubles machine. From 1900 to 1910, Wagner averaged about 40 doubles a season. Wagner was also a speed demon. He stole 639 bases with the Pirates, including leading the league 5 different times. Only Max Carey has stolen more bases in Pirates history. All told, Wagner's WRC plus is 3rd in team history, sitting behind Brian Giles and Ralph Kiner. His .411 WOBA ranks 5th behind the aforementioned Kiner and Giles, but also Elmer Smith and Grantham. Let's go to the outfield. Left field, Willie Stargell. Willie Stargell is probably the best slugger in Pirate history. The Hall of Fame left fielder has a career .282 average, .360 on base, .529 slugging, with 475 home runs and a .145 WRC plus throughout his 21-year career with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Stargell leads all Pirates batters in home runs and has the highest slugging percentage and isolated slugging percentage of any Pirate with at least 5,000 plate appearances. However, he still ranks top 3 among each category among Pirates with at least 2,000 plate appearances. Stargell's WRC Plus ranks 4th all-time among Pirates with at least 2,500 plate appearances, and ties him with Barry Bonds. Stargell was an absolute monster during the 1970s. From the start of the decade up through 1979, Stargell hit for a .287 average, a .374 on base, and a .555 slugging, with a 154 WRC plus and 156 OPS plus. Stargell also blasted 296 home runs during the decade. Despite playing 185 fewer games than Reggie Jackson, Stargell still outdid the fellow Hall of Famers in home runs. Stargell also led the decade in WRC plus, WOBA at 405, ISO, and OPS. Stargell was also the heart and soul of the 1979 World Series champion Pirates. He was a key cog in the team winning the Fall Classic in 1971 too. Our center fielder is Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen had an outstanding and extremely memorable run as the Pirates' primary center fielder. From taking over the position in 2010 up until his final year in a Pirate uniform in 2017, Kutch batted for a .291 average, a .379 on base, and a .487 slugging, hit 203 home runs, and finished out with a 136 OPS plus, 137 WRC plus. Among Pirates center fielders with at least 2,500 plate appearances, McCutchen leads them all in WRC plus, OPS, slugging percentage, on-base percentage, and WOBA at .373. From 2012 to 2015, McCutchen absolutely dominated pitchers. Throughout the 2,680 plate appearances in these 4 seasons, Kutch hit for a .313 average, a .404 on base, and a .523 slugging, with 100 home runs, 76 stolen bases, and a 157 WRC plus, and an identical 157 OPS plus. Plus, he finished top 5 in MVP voting 3 straight seasons in a row from 2013 to 2015. Among all MLB players during those seasons, Kutch ranked 7th in OPS, 4th in WRC plus, and 5th in WOBA at .397. Among outfielders, only Mike Trout was better than him in WRC plus. During this terrific 4-year stretch, McCutchen put together arguably the greatest offensive season in Pirate history. This came in 2014 when he hit for a .314 average, .410 on base, .542 slugging to go with a 168 WRC plus, .228 ISO, and posting a 51.30 WAR. Most impressively, all of this came in 146 games after missing 2 weeks in August with a rib issue. Our right fielder is Paul Waner. Paul Waner won the Pittsburgh Pirates MVP award back in 1927, and for a good reason. He's probably the best Pirate right fielder in terms of what he did in the batter's box. From 1926 up through 1940, Waner hit for an outstanding .340 average, .407 on base, .490 slugging, 136 OPS plus, and 138 WRC plus. While Roberto Clemente might be a top 3 Pittsburgh Pirate of all time, but Waner edges out the great one in terms of batting. In comparison, Clemente hit for a .317 average, .359 on base, and a .475 slugging. More importantly were the era and park adjusted stats where Clemente had a 129 WRC plus and 130 OPS plus. Nobody during this era was a home run hitter, but he still got plenty of extra base hits. Waner hit 558 doubles with the Pirates, the most by any Pirate ever. Among Pirates all time, Waner ranks 7th in WRC plus, just edging out the aforementioned Andrew McCutchen. He's also 6th all time in Pirate WOBA at .409. His OPS is the 4th highest mark in Pirates history, just outdoing Willie Stargell and Jason Bay. During this era, batting average meant a whole lot more than it does now. And while it's not very important anymore, it's still worth mentioning that Waner leads all Pirates in that, and has 3 batting crowns to his name. In addition to being a member of the Hall of Fame, Waner also has his number 11 retired by the Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates bats couldn't manage a late inning rally leading to a 6-3 loss versus the Cubs on Friday night. The Pittsburgh Pirates lost the first game of a 3-game series versus the Chicago Cubs on Friday. The bat showed up too late and the bullpen struggled too much, which led to the Pirates losing 6-3 after making a late game push. Let's break down Friday night's game. Trevor Williams got the start last night and got off to a solid start. In his first 2 innings, he struck out 3 batters, including some of the Cubs' heavier hitters, and Anthony Rizzo, Wilson Contreras, and Jason Kipnis. In the third inning, Williams ran into a bit of trouble. After striking out Ian Happ, Williams allowed Chris Bryant to reach base on a free pass, and then hit Rizzo with a pitch in the